Welcome to the Video Game Town Hall Podcast, a podcast brought to you by videogame.town. It's a website.
It's true, it's a website.
And I am the mayor of the town, and your host, Jared Russo, and here with me is the editor-in-chief of that website, Grant Bruner.
It's true, I'm editor-in-chief Grant Bruner. I'm also chief custodian, chief sweeper. They call me Chief Sweep.
No one has ever called you that, but that's a great nickname.
Well, if you like giving us nicknames, might I recommend heading over to our Patreon, which you can find at videogame.town/donate. And it'll take you over to our Patreon, where you can get a bonus podcast. Every single month, we deliver a new one. We also, the higher tiers, allow more interactive stuff. So, like, we did a poll on what we wanted to stream, and the people picked Mortal Kombat 1, so we streamed Mortal Kombat 1. And if you'd like to be a part of that, we would love to have you join our Discord, or to have our weekly podcast, or to tell us what you would like to have a stream. You can definitely join that at videogame.town/donate. Or if you don't want to do monthly donation stuff, you can also just do one-time off, things where you go to our Ko-fi at videogame.town/donate and just give us throw us a few bucks. And if you don't have any money to spare on on video game podcasts, you can just leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would appreciate it.
You can talk to us personally. You can ask us questions.
Yeah, instead of just sitting there, in your car listening to a podcast or whatever, or on the train, because if you're very European and you're on public transit. And you're just, I'm so mad. They have opinions on things, but I can't talk back. You can talk back. If you just give us $3 a month, you can join our Discord and tell us your opinion.
And there's really no telling, if you were to just hit me up on social media, or Grant, that we would ever have the time of day. Like, we could just completely ignore you and block you. But if you're in our Discord, it's like, well,
they are paying us money.
They're giving us money, so
hard to deny.
Grant, the topic for this episode is something that you thought of. Could you explain to the listener why you chose this, and what it is?
So I chose, video game memories, your best, sometimes your earliest, I think earliest is where I started from, and then kind of moved forward. Just, really video game related memories that stick out to you. So for me, I think so much of my interfacing with technology and interfacing with people socially, kind of throughout my entire childhood, very video game focused things, and I have lots of experiences and lots of memories. And I wanted to kind of compare notes with you, because you're also a video gamesman of yore.
Yep.
From the hashtag 90s, only 90s kids understand / remember. And what kind of overlap there is in our, and I think there will be substantial differences, because I definitely have more of a PC history than you do, but I am curious about what that looks like.
All right, so you want to go back to the very beginning?
Yeah, I think so. For me, one of my earliest video game memories, I'm pretty sure the first video game I ever played was Super Mario Brothers on my parents' NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. I was really obsessed with it. I was a little kid. I'm talking probably I would have been 3 or 4. I couldn't figure out the Bowser levels where you have to go up and down and try to puzzle out how to progress in those Bowser levels. And so there was the Nintendo hotline, and my mother called, I believe, one time and ordered the official guide, because I wanted so badly to finish Super Mario Brothers, but I was very young and couldn't really figure out how to do it without wasting the entire clock and dying / getting roasted by Bowser.
So would you say, so long, gay Bowser?
Exactly. That's exactly what I would say. What is do you have a vivid first video game memory?
To the best of my recollection, which is spotty, is my older half-brother Philip had an NES and had that Mario Duck Hunt cartridge. But I think the first game I ever actually touched might have been the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for NES.
Makes sense.
And I remember that and Mario being very, very, very early memories, and thinking, oh, this is inherent. Everyone knows that this is just one of the pillars of art. People watch things, and they must play things, and they must listen to things.
You read stuff, you listen to stuff, you play stuff.
And you play stuff. And my whole life, I just kept being like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't seem like the world notices, but like, you have to also play stuff, right? Like, that's like this is pretty big deal, pretty big news.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like charted me on the path I'm on now of just like, I still think the world is like, this is like the most popular shit, makes the most money, and yet like I'm hearing about fucking box office results. Like, who cares about box office results? Like, when GTA 6 comes out, like that's gonna dwarf everything. You know, like it's not gonna be a red carpet for that, but like it's gonna be the most important thing. Fucking who gives a shit about? Oh, the results came in, and this movie made $2 million at the box office. It's like, I don't know. It just seems like so 20th century to me.
Yeah, fuck movies.
Yeah, fuck movies.
That the video game town.
Joseph Ferris also said that famously at the Game Awards. Do you remember watching that
To
live?
be clear, I want to go on record. I don't believe that. I don't think that. I think you can do all sorts of stuff, and movies are cool too.
They are, but Joseph Ferris said, fuck the Oscars.
I mean, fuck the Oscars for sure, but not fuck movies. Like, award shows are notoriously terrible.
But he said it at an award show.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other ordeal. I think for people who are in the ballpark of our age, I'm a little bit older than you, but not that much older. I think, like, having a Mario be your first is very common. In the way that, like, if you were young in the late 70s or early 80s, like, a Pong or a Pac-Man or a Donkey Kong, those would be very unsurprising to be your first video games, right?
Yeah. Maybe a boxing game, a racing game, a baseball game, something like that.
But, like, here are very, very exceedingly popular games. Mario was an exceedingly popular game. It's not surprising that in the late 80s or early 90s, Mario is lots of people's first game.
I also remember having a SNES, because, like, you don't have memories in 1991. You're a baby. I mean, I was. So, like, your memories don't start until, like, you're 2 or 3. So, like, I remember there being a SNES. I remember there, my older he wasn't a stepbrother, he's a half-brother. He had a Game Gear. He had Beavis and Butthead for the Game Gear, and, like, a Sonic game. Yeah. I had a Game Boy. I think I had, like, everything. There was a Genesis. It was, like, a hand-me-down Genesis. I played X-Men on that. That was an early memory. So it was, like, Wheel of Fortune on, like, NES.
Yeah, my parents had Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yeah, and Jeopardy, yeah. So, like, there were times in elementary school where, like, people would, like, bring their NES and, like, play it on the TV, like, before or after class, and it was like, oh, Mega Man, or, like, you know, like, you could, like, try different games or whatever. But having my own Super Nintendo and having the sort of hand-me-down Genesis and Game Boy, that's what I was rocking in the mid-90s. It was pretty dope.
So, this is kind of how we diverge. I did not have a SNES or a Genesis or TurboGrafx. I didn't have a console in the 16-bit era.
Who owned a TurboGrafx?
My family went pretty hard into personal computers relatively early. So probably, like, I don't know, 94 or something like that. We went pretty hard into personal computers. And a thing that I think you probably wouldn't know if you were younger than us. And so also it's probably highly regional too. So in some regions it was a thing, and some regions it wasn't a thing. But computer expos, basically, like, a bunch of relatively small or regional vendors would come to, like, for us, we would go up to the University of Delaware, the Bob Carpenter Center, or adjacent buildings, and they would have like computer expos where people would sell a bunch of software, a bunch of hardware, and lots of things that are of dubious legality. So many of the games that I first played on PC, there would be vendors at these expos that would just sell, like, you know, this is like 100 games on a CD. And they would just be old games. Like, they would be DOS games. And you just get a bunch of them. And you would also be able to, like, and it wasn't just all illegitimate stuff, too. Like, there's plenty of just, like, hey, do you want to buy games? This is a semi-recent thing. So, like, some of the things that, like, the first time I ever played the 2D, Duke Nukem, and I also played Commander Keen, all that stuff was through, like, packages of old games on CD-ROMs, that because they're tiny. You can fit a bunch of them on a CD-ROM in the mid-90s. And I also that's where a bunch of the stuff that I really ended up loving was the point-and-click adventure games. And it would just be like, oh, well, my dad went to a computer expo and just got like 4 LucasArts adventure games. Here they are, Grant. Play these games, and they're gonna blow your fucking mind.
So, do you remember the floppy disk era?
We did have like plenty of games on floppy disk. A lot of like the early Sims games. So like a Sim City, but also like a Sim Farm. Well, this will surprise you to learn that I played a Sim Farm. A lot of those games were on floppy disks. But that's pretty limited, or like the more complicated you get on the floppy disk era, the more floppy disk you end up having to use. So it's like, well, do you want to install this game on fucking 15 floppies? No, I don't really.
I remember this must have been first grade, second grade in computer class, the floppy disk era, like learning how to use floppy disks, and then like very quickly it was like, oh, now we're using CDs, and I was like, what? But I on the family computer, the home computer, the one everyone had, so much Doom, so much fucking Doom. I think I played Myst. There were a lot of like bargain bin dollar like strategy games or like Myst knockoffs. I think I played some Age of Empires, and there was maybe a game with like Tim Curry in it or something like that. There was like a Frankenstein game. There was a platforming Darkwing Duck game. There was like all this like trash they would sort of like give you to try.
It was also the multimedia era, so like lots of games had lots of full motion video. So that was when CDs became available and people started having machines that took CDs. There's lots and lots and lots of very poor quality FMV.
Yeah. But I also, at a certain point, for much of my childhood and early adolescence, dead broke. So the thing I would covet even more than new games, which I knew I could not afford for the most part, was gaming magazines. That was my life, was reading about games, reviews, things coming up in previews, like going to the mailbox with my dad, waiting for the next edition of EGM or Game Now or Game Pro or official PlayStation magazine or whatever. And like, that was also a part of my life, which is like, I gotta write for one of these fucking magazines when I get older. Only to find out when you got older, it was like, nope, no one's writing for these magazines anymore. They're gone.
I will say, I was a nerd. This will blow your mind. I was a nerd. And like, so I read like computer magazines as well, not just game magazines, but like PC Mag. And then I did end up eventually having multiple things that I wrote published in PC Magazine, and that was pretty cool.
What a nerd!
It is a nerd. But also, I want to say the only game magazine that I ever subscribed to, like it was mailed to me, was Nintendo Power. I read other stuff, but it was like I would just like, oh, it's at the grocery store. And I would be like, hey, Mom, can I get this magazine? And it's like an EGM or whatever. It was more piecemeal. Like, oh, this, on the cover, this game is good. Like, I remember a lot during, especially like later 90s, when like the Dreamcast era is what I got pretty into reading like EGM. But it was definitely piecemeal. The only ones that I was getting like on the reg was Nintendo Power. Because it was super cheap. And also they had lots of, like, incentives to do it. Lots of like, well, if you subscribe for a year, then you'll get XYZ.
God. And it was so sad when everything just funneled to Game Informer. And then like in real time you were like, man, GameInformer.com has got some good stuff. Got Dan Reichert and all these people, and you're just like, I don't think I need this anymore.
Yeah.
And then they got bought by GameStop.
But what's also crazy is that if you go to like a Michael's, like a craft store, there are still like dozens and dozens of craft magazines because those people are still buying magazines. It's like an alternate reality where magazines are still like fiscally possible.
Dude, every once in a while there will be a post on Blue Sky where it's like, this CBS sitcom you've never heard of called George and Mandy's First Marriage averages 35 million viewers, and it just got renewed for an 18th season. And you're like, there is another world out there that we are just not a part of. And then at the same time, the Grammys happened. I mean, as you're listening to this, it happened a week ago, but like last night. And there's all these people. Yeah. There are all these people who like Kate and I'm like, we've never heard of this person. I don't know who the hell they are. Apparently they're like the most famous person in the world. And not just Bad Bunny, but like people who have not shown up on SNL. Who I'm like, oh, I wonder who that is. And that happens with Twitch streamers, and it happens with YouTube stars, and it's just like, we are just such a tiny speck of nothing, you know? Like, you can't name me any international soccer players who are so much more famous than any, like, athlete in America.
Well, let's not go crazy, because, like, Michael Jordan exists, and people around the world know who fucking Michael Jordan is.
No, that's true, but every country in Europe, the only stores they have for sports, it's like F1 racing and soccer. And the only jerseys to buy, and the only, like, advertisements, I'm sure this is true in Asia, and in Africa, and South America, and Central America, it's like Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, like, all, like, just soccer players. And you're like, oh, that's right, like, we are completely the opposite of that. Like, that is not at all a thing.
That bloke who married a Spice Girl.
David Beckham, yes. Married Posh Spice.
One of the things that stick in my head the most is playing Day of the Tentacle, kind of on and off with my dad. And not that, like, we played the entire game together, but it would be like, I would be playing it, and I would, like, show him a thing, and I'm like, what do you think about this? And then, like, I would shut it down and go do something else, and then later that day, he would boot it up and look at it, and he would, like, kind of, like, look at the puzzle and try to figure out how to get, like, we know that, like, there's something you have to do here, but we don't know what it is yet. And I remember one time he figured out the puzzle, like, a puzzle, when I think I was, like, with my mom, we had, like, gone to the store or something. I came back, and he's like, Grant, you're gonna love this. I figured out how to... You've never played Day of the Tentacle. I never made you play Day of the Tentacle, right?
Correct.
It's a time travel game, so there's 3 different time periods. There's, like, the present, there's 200 years in the past, and there's 200 years in the future. In 200 years in the past, there's a character there. You're with like, the founding fathers. There's George Washington. And you can kind of goad him into trying to chop down a cherry tree. That would affect something in the future. Except he's like, oh, well, there are no cherry trees. There's like an apricot tree out there, but I don't chop down apricot trees. I chop down cherry trees. And I just couldn't, I mean, I was relatively young. I just couldn't figure out, I'm like, how do I can't go further into the past because they're like set. You're like, you're in these times and you can't, and I'm so, in my brain, my little brain, it's like, well, if I do something in the past, that will impact the present and the future, but I can't do something further in the past. So how do I don't know how to swap this. And my dad figured out you had to just apply paint to the apricots to trick George Washington.
That's so dumb.
But, like, it's a funny thing. But my dad figured it out, and, like, to this day, it sticks with me that my dad, like, was playing this game while I was, like, you know, I went to the store with my mom and was like, oh, I'm so excited to show Grant how you actually progress in this puzzle, and that is, like, a heartwarming memory that I still think about sometimes.
How many tentacles are in Day of the Tentacle?
2. Well, that's not true. 2 main tentacles and then a handful of miscellaneous tentacles, but it's mostly 2.
And what do the tentacles do? Are they sentient?
They are sentient, which is a problem. And then one of them drinks like mutant sludge and becomes evil, and then takes over the world. And you have to do time travel chicanery to stop him from taking over the world.
Wow.
And enslaving all of humanity.
Now, as far as other memories, I'm sure we have lots of stories of, like, people coming over to your house to play co-op or multiplayer, and birthday parties and LAN parties, and there was a computer cafe who previous guests of the pod, aforementioned Darren Lewis, we would go to a computer place and play Counter-Strike and all sorts of other PC nonsense. I'm sure there's so many N64 games and, like, road trips with, like, Game Boy Advances and link cables and stuff that, like, I mean, hell, I used to go to, in 1998, I used to go to Barnes & Nobles for, like, Pokemon Saturdays and, like, trade with people and, like, trade Pokemon cards and stuff. Like, God, what an age we used to live in.
It's true. But what about arcades, Jared?
Dude, I used to live in arcades, and it was the greatest. There was one that I remember being in near Daytona, and it was, like, it had a wooden roller coaster, which was cool, but, like, it also had, like, every arcade game ever. And they had the Grid from Midway. Mm. Oh my god. What a revelation the Grid is.
Most of my arcade time was spent, there was an arcade in the Dover Mall here in Delaware, and it changed hands a couple of times. It actually ended up becoming owned by Namco at a certain point, so I played a lot of Soul Calibur 2 and Tekken Tag at that arcade at that point. But in the mid-90s, when I was attending it, probably more than ever, the X-Men beat 'em up and the Terminator 2 shooter are definitely big things. Gauntlet. I played a fair bit of Gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
In the Dover Mall arcade. And the other thing was there was still a bunch of like classic analog games, like a skee-ball or type stuff. And so my sister was always playing like skee-ball, and she could just like play skee-ball all fucking day because it was, you know, like a token for 100,000 balls or whatever it is. But you want to play a video game, you're spending like 4 fucking tokens to play this. So it's like I get to play like 25 minutes of video games while my sister gets to play like, you know, an hour and a half of skee-ball.
Simpsons arcade game, X-Men arcade game, Turtles arcade game, every Capcom fighting game, Silent Scope.
Silent.
Arctic Thunder, Hydro Thunder. I'm sure there are a bunch of racing games that were pretty good.
What was the dinosaur shooter?
Oh god, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I
don't remember its name.
Time Crisis. Any of the Time Crisis games were great.
For sure.
Man, arcades, my god.
The other thing is, like, other places besides arcades used to have arcade machines. Like, there was a movie theater in Glasgow, Delaware, which is up north, that I would sometimes go to, and they had an MVC1 machine.
Ooh.
And I played a bunch of that. And there was a bowling alley that I would occasionally go to with friends. It wasn't like all the time, but maybe it was like a once a year type deal. I would go to it, and they had a Street Fighter 3 machine.
What about things that you got for birthdays and Christmases? Because I know consoles and games were a very big part, a foundational building block of like happiest memories of like, oh my god, I got a PS2 in the Grand Theft Autos, or like, oh my god, I got these GameCube games, or etc.
For sure.
etc.
My grandmother, for a birthday, got me my Game Boy, my very first Game Boy, and Kirby's Dream Land. And that was fucking sick shit. But also, eventually, like, because my family skipped the consoles on the 16-bit generation, but we eventually did get back into it. It was probably, because the N64 came out in 96, right?
Either 95 or 96.
So I think it was the year after it came out. I think so. If it came out in 96, I think it would have been 97. I opened up the N64, and it came with Mario. They also got Mario, and but seeing Mario on like in 3 dimensions, and that was another one. It was so impressive. It was so wild that even though my parents didn't really like play a ton of video games, it was like, well, the whole family is going to sit here and play Mario, this 3D Mario game. That's so fucking crazy.
That's wild to me to think that, like, people's parents play games. Like, I can't fathom that, because I just never knew anyone's parent who ever did anything like that.
Well, I mean, my parents bought the NES before I was born.
I know, that's so fucking cool, but, like, I can't envision that for anyone I know, and so it's hard to, like, think about that happening for, like, anyone younger than me, because it's like,
my parents beat the first Zelda, and like my mom would like operate the map while my dad was playing on the controller and being like, okay, you need to go up 3 squares and then like over to the right 3 squares to get to blah 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 blah.
Oh, so they managed to bomb that wall that doesn't look like anything, and you happen to, god, that pisses me off so much. You have no idea. What a ploy to design that in Metroid to make you call up the hotline and spend money, or to buy a guide. Oh, which wall is it? The one that you have to randomly bomb.
But I will say, so one of the real downsides to, because I was also playing PC games like at the same time. Like I was still playing PC games when I had an N64, and I didn't have a PlayStation. I didn't get a PlayStation till well after the PS2 existed, and I didn't get a PS2 until I want to say it was like either right before the PS3 or like right after the PS3.
Oh, you missed out, man.
A PS2. But I went back and played some games, etc., etc. But I didn't have a PlayStation 1 at the time. It was something I only got many years later. But I played Final Fantasy VII because they released it on PC, and it was something that like lots of people were talking about. Like my cousin was talking about it, but also people online were talking about it. So it came out, and it was one of the things about PC gaming, then and still now to some degree, is sometimes shit is just broken. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sound used to be a huge pain in the ass. I don't know if you remember this, but you could often get games to run on your computer, but it would be like, oh yeah, no, sorry, sound isn't working. Like, this was made for a different fucking type of sound card or something like that. And just an elaborate troubleshooting thing. And I remember I tried to install Final Fantasy VII. I just couldn't get it to work. And I was like, uninstalling it and reinstalling it and trying to like change settings. And eventually my dad was like, well, give me a chance. Like, let me look at it. The way I remember it going, and again, this is a long time ago, so it may be inaccurate. But what I remember is basically my dad had to roll back a specific driver. I want to say it was a sound driver, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a video driver. He had to roll back to an earlier version to get the game to run because the like version that it was on was like, no, it's just broken. It doesn't work. And I don't remember why it didn't work, but it didn't work is the reality. So my dad having to like go through it, he didn't have to. He chose to. It's not like I sat and made him do it, but he wanted to solve the problem. Eventually, Final Fantasy VII worked on my PC after a lengthy problem-solving thing. And then I eventually then played through the entirety of the intro, which is not super long. It's like, I don't know, 90 minutes? Maybe? Like, somewhere between an hour and 2 hours. Played it fairly late at night. I'm sure it wasn't that late at night. I'm sure it was like probably like 11 o'clock at night. It wasn't like, 3 a.m. or something. And I played it. And it felt so illicit because there's like implied like sex trafficking and there's cross dressing, and I'm like, oh shit, there's like, this is like a fucking grown up game. Like, there's no sex trafficking in Mario
that we know of.
Yeah, it's true. You can't trust Bowser.
Yeah, you missed out on the PS1 because that was cool to like throw in like music CDs you got and just like play jams, memory cards, and like dual analog sticks. It was around the early 2000s in which my brother became aware and sentient of gaming and could start asking for games for his birthday and Christmas. So it was sort of like getting twice as many games.
Yeah.
But he mostly liked racing games, so it was sort of like, okay, I guess I'll play a bunch of racing games or whatever. Man, what a time. What a time it was. You could go to a store and see things locked behind cabinets and ask for a ticket and then go to a desk and someone in the back would like, oh, the cases in the displays aren't real. And they would go out and be like, here's the thing you wanted. Glover for the N64.
You're talking about Toys R Us, baby.
Hell yeah. Or August 26, 2002. I came home from school and my dad had given me both Super Mario Sunshine and Super Monkey Ball 2.
Hell yeah.
Plopped down 100 American US dollars, got 2 games.
Pretty good games.
Now you spend $100 and you barely get 1 working game. Ha ha!
Zing! You got their ass, Jared. The other fun thing was, not like it is now, but like there would be like websites that were online communities for games. So for example, like PSO World was a website where you could learn, like long before there was like wiki culture. It was like, hey, do you want to know how you can do this thing? Here's the drop rates. One of the weird things about PSO is what you name your character influences, like there's an algorithm to which characters you use in the name of your character. And that basically gives you like I don't even know how to describe this, like basically like a category. And so like it'll be like Pinkle is one or whatever. Like Redra, I want to say, is one, but they're colors. And basically like if you name your character something and you want certain types of weapons to drop much more rapidly, you need to be of that certain category. And so it'd be like, oh shit, I need to make a new character if I want wands to drop or whatever. If I want guns to drop, I need to have a character that's this. And it's not explained in the game. You have to like go to some fucking wiki. It's not a wiki, pre-wiki. You have to go online and be like, okay, this is what this fucking means. Okay, sure. And the other thing was like, I remember specifically when Animal Crossing on the GameCube was big, there was like a community online that everybody would name. So I didn't do this for my main town, but for like, I had other memory cards that I could use. If you name your town Hyrule and name your character Link, and it doesn't have to be that specifically, but that's the one that people chose. If everybody has the same town name and character name, then when you generate codes to like share to people, you can then accumulate all of those codes to input that you can then get any item in the game. And so that's how I basically was like, oh, I want all of this, set for my house. I want every NES game. I want all of these things all through this like Hyrule Link system, through a community online for Animal Crossing.
Remember E-Bombs World and Newgrounds and addictinggames.com?
I do.
Isn't that amazing how like
cool?
Yeah, like you could just go on websites and just play games for free for a billion years.
It's true.
It's incredible.
Did you ever go to a LAN party?
Yeah. Halo, Xboxes.
I went to a LAN party once. I was a late teenager. And everybody, this is long before people could, like, have gaming laptops or whatever. So everybody's bringing their fucking tower PCs. I mean, I can play, like, StarCraft or, like, Command & Conquer, but, like, I don't have any, because, like, people also wanted to play, like, first-person shooters, and I'm like, I don't have any of those games. But it was like, oh, don't worry, we'll get you some fucking, we'll burn you a copy and use a crack. And so that was a playing cracked games in a LAN party, eating a lot of pizza, and I remember we were up really late, and then there was, I don't know, it was probably like a dozen people or something in a house, in a relatively big house in northern Delaware. I slept sitting up in a computer chair because there wasn't like a couch I could nap on. I just I guess I'm gonna lean back in this chair and go to sleep until whatever, 8 o'clock in the morning.
Life was so much simpler. Was it better? I don't know. We were just children and we didn't have to pay taxes.
I think that's about it. I also, the one other thing I have written down here is being a teenager and and having more free time than I had money. So wanting to get a lot out of the games that I played. So some of them were with my cousin, and some of them were just by myself, but trying to unlock everything in the game. So me and my cousin going through Mario Kart Double Dash and unlocking every character, every track, every mode.
Hell
and that
yeah.
took forever. I did it with Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee, tried to unlock every single thing. And the other one was Twin Snakes, which was the Metal Gear Solid 1.
Metal Gear.
On the GameCube, that they kind of remade it for the GameCube. And there were things like if you finish it this way, you get an infinite ammo thing. And if you finish it this way, you get a stealth where you be invisible. And then, so not only unlocking all the stuff, but it's well, now I want to play through the entire game being able to be invisible whenever I want and do a bunch of dumb shit, and just playing games over and over and over and over and over again, where it's that would never happen now. I have way more money than I have time, which is to say, I don't have a huge amount of money, but even less time.
Yeah, people used to be cheat codes on the back of Blockbuster boxes when you rented games. You would, Game Genie and Game Shark and mod stuff, replay things 1,000 times.
I mean, to some extent you had to, or no, you didn't have to, but to some extent it was unpleasant if you didn't do some of that. Because games used to be really hard, and it was pretty rare for games to have difficulty settings. So if a game was just really demanding, it would be well, I guess I need to use an infinite life cheat, otherwise I'm never gonna fucking progress in this game.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. Yeah.
There's a reason why, the Konami code for Contra is, so well known, because it's well, it's fucking miserable to play that game if you're not doing the 30 life code.
Grant, our next topic, I need help. Well,
yeah.
Maybe a final dash of advice, technically. So, I'm going to be on vacation for 2 weeks in New Zealand, and I'm only bringing a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I think I have my game plan for both flights. It's going to be a very long flight. Downloaded lots of movies. I'm going to have Baby Steps. I have Clover Pit. I have a whole backlog of Steam games I've yet to play. Forgive Me, Father, Sludge Life. Mugenics is going to come out when I'm, there in New Zealand. So I think I'm all good. I think I'm all set. Are there any other things that you would recommend for my long journey into the Shire?
So one thing that I told my good friend Rob when he traveled across the globe. He's from jolly old England.
When's he coming on the pod? Let's get him on.
Yeah, for sure. When he went to jolly old England. I'm sorry, from jolly old England to New Zealand. He had never played a Civilization game before. And I was like, you're going to love it. It's going to make the time fly by. And he played it for the first time, and he played Civ 6. It was his first Civ experience. And just as prescribed, it makes the hours just disappear. And so if you basically need to time travel, it's hard to argue with a game like Civilization.
So I have played Civilization before. I'll say this, it's no Roller Coaster Tycoon. It's not necessarily the hours that I need to be eaten, because it seems that the older I get, the faster the hours go by. It's more like there's probably going to be like a day or two where I'm like jet lagged and there's like, nowhere to go. And I think I would just need options. If like something isn't hitting, something's not clicking, you don't want to be like, well, this is the one game I committed to and now I hate it, I was thinking about like, I don't want to bring two devices. If I bring my Switch, I'm like, do I get into like Xenoblade Chronicles?
I mean, I don't know if you're gonna like Xenoblade, because it's an ARPG, like maybe, but it's also like, it's very anime. It's exceedingly anime.
That's not like a deal breaker. Are you prepared for how
it's so anime though? I mean, like, I like those games. I think they're good, but I would be surprised if you liked them. I would say if you have, I guess it depends on, like, I don't know what you have / what you're willing to spend, but like, hey man, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it's been awesome handheld. So that is certainly an option. It's available on Switch, and obviously you can also play it on your Steam Deck. I think that's been a really fantastic thing. The other one I have been playing recently is Cairn. Came out from the Game Bakers.
Okay.
I think you would like that a lot, because it's so mechanical. You're moving individual limbs
to climb a mountain,
to climb up a thing. It's like halfway a climbing sim, but it's also a little bit of a walking sim in as much as like you're exploring a world and there's like stuff for you to find and like, story for you to go along the way. But the vast majority of their time spent is basically solving the puzzle of climbing, of how do you maintain to be fair, there are settings where it's like, if you don't want to do the hunger stuff, you can turn that off. If you don't want to manage like your hands degrading in like, oh, you got to wrap your hands and repair your hands, you could turn that off. You could have infinite chalk or whatever. Like, there are things you can change to make it change how hard it is, how much survivally you want it to be, or like, I end up not wanting all that much survival stuff into it. But you're essentially like it's essentially a big puzzle, and you're climbing. You're trying to like plan your route. Like, am I going to have enough places to like grip onto? You have a limit. You can turn this off, but by default, you have a limited number of like stakes you can implant into the wall. That if you fall, you'll only fall to that degree, and that catches you. But you then have to strategically use those, because like, if you burn them all when you're relatively low up this portion of the mountain, you're going to have a real tough time if you start, running out of stamina further up the mountains, things like that. So I think you would probably end up liking it. I think it's a pretty good game.
Intriguing. Very intriguing.
Have you ever played a climber?
I have. I really love Grow Up and Grow Home. I played Jusant. Mm-hmm. Celeste is a platformer, but the whole thing about Celeste is that you're climbing a mountain. So maybe.
Or like Peak, that came out a while ago.
Yeah, that's more friendslop. That's more like co-op stuff. I also have on my computer, don't tell Nintendo, some emulators. And I've been in a real Fire Emblem kick. So I beat the first game. I'm playing the second game, which is even better.
It kills me that you called it the first game, but it's like the fucking
whatever. You know what I mean. The first GBA one. I'm playing Sacred Stones, which is better and shorter. Like, it just cuts out, like, it improves upon things, and it just kind of cuts out the fluff. And then, because I tried Path of Radiance on the GameCube NSO, and I was like, oh wow, this is fucking great. So I'm going to play the DS game Shadow Dragon, which is a remake of the original one.
That sounds right.
From 1990, called Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light.
Yeah. So
we'll see at what point do I go, oh, this is where I fell off Fire Emblem. Because to me,
I think you would play all the way through. I think the DS ones, the 3DS ones, like Awakenings and Fates, I think you would like all of them. Like, I think you would like the 3DS ones too. I don't know how you would feel about Three Houses, even though it is clearly like my favorite by a lot, but there is much more of the like, you're in a school and you're interacting with other students, etc., etc. But Fire Emblem Engage is so much more of the classic, like, I don't know, there's a dragon, don't worry about it too much, just fight dudes. Stupid. Like, the puzzles aren't stupid, but like, the plot is stupid. The plot is the most generic horseshit that's ever existed.
I just think at a certain point, like, games need to know when to shut the fuck up and, like, let me, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a Fire Emblem Three Houses, but there are games that go beyond that where it's like, oh, no, you guys really need to, like, edit. You know, you gotta,
but here's
really
the thing, is I think that you will just have no tolerance for the talking of any variety, where I am looking for games that is like, okay, here is like dialogue between people. The stuff that kills me is when it's like, and Nintendo is very guilty of this, of like, here is tutorial through dialogue, when I'm like, okay, this needs to shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
I don't need to sit here for 20 minutes reading tutorial. That's miserable. But the part where there's like storytelling, or like these two people are like forming a relationship of some type, like, you know, like they're fighting because they're frenemies now, or they're falling in love, or like they become like blood brothers, or whatever the type of relationship that they're forming is. But like that stuff is the good stuff for me. Like that's what I like live off of. But the parts in lots of Nintendo games, but other games as well, is where it's just like, well, you want to have like a half hour of where I'm didactically telling you how to play the game, right? And that makes me want to lose my mind.
Hey, Legend of Zelda, not cool that you would spend 6 hours telling the player, okay, now we're going to learn how to... It's like, come on, guys. Come on.
It's so brutal. It's so brutal. It's so miserable. And like, that's the kind of shit that I will like button through. But the part where there's like actual storytelling, either like, I don't even need it to be like a plot storytelling, like, but like, you know, you're progressing the character arcs, stuff like that. That's the stuff that I like. But obviously your mileage will vary.
My Steam is telling me that Bully Scholarship Edition is $5 on Steam. Well, that just solved my problem. I don't need you anymore.
I don't even know how much Bully holds up in the year of our Lord 2020.
It doesn't matter. I'm going to find out, and I'll let you know.
Have you played Bully before?
No.
It's good. That is a game that I played. That is a game that I played on my PS2 that I bought much later.
I mean, I played every Rockstar game, dude. Like, my brother got Midnight Club. Like, the Rockstar catalog is so familiar to me that it's insane that I didn't play Bully, even on the 360.
Table tennis?
I think I played the demo for that. I think.
Sounds
and speaking
right.
of games, do you have a quiz for me?
I do. I have one called Good Sport.
Ooh!
And this is gonna blow your mind. When we're recording this is right before the Olympics starts. But as you're listening to it, the Olympics will have already started for 2026 in Milan. Weren't you just in Milan not that long ago?
No, I went last year to Milan and Rome, and it was wonderful.
Well, if you had waited till now, you could have gone to the Olympics.
No, it would have cost way more money.
It's true. But basically, I'm going to list sports, and I want you to tell me, is this an Olympic sport? And if it is, what year was it introduced into the Olympics? Okay. Motor racing.
Can you define motor racing? Because I can think of many different ways to interpret that.
Is it? It's like you're in a motorized vehicle, and you are doing laps.
Could be rally cars, that could be stock cars, that could be ATVs or whatever. That feels too X Games to me, so I'm going to say no.
The only time it was in the Olympics was the year 1900. The 1900s Olympics, motor racing was contested, and 14 events were held in conjunction with the 1900 World Fair, and then never again.
I'm going to count that as a victory.
You said no.
Yeah, it's not one now.
Right, but that's the point of the game, Jared. Is this an Olympic sport? When was it introduced? And that the part that makes it difficult is there are sports that are no longer done at the Olympics.
Is this, not was this.
Oh my god, Jared.
I'm just listening to your instructions. I'm just following orders.
All of these have these ever been an Olympic sport in the past, currently, or in the future?
All right, well, I still count that first one as a victory. Continue.
Water motor sports.
Boy, that sounds so dumb that it has to be true, but in my heart... No, I bet you that's like jet skis and shit. I bet you that's like sailing or... Yeah, sure.
A lot of these are from Wikipedia, just so that everybody knows where I'm getting this information from. At the 1908 Summer Olympics, 3 motorboat racing events were contested, and then never again.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Oh, I had forgot to press you for a year, but going forward,
I wasn't going to come up with a year. So,
badminton.
At some point, badminton must have been an Olympic sport.
So you're saying yes?
Yeah.
What year would it have been introduced?
The 40s?
So, interestingly, there are Olympic sports, meaning that these are like competitions in which you can medal, and then there are demonstration sports, which is like they put it on, but nobody is competing for a medal.
That's stupid.
So in 1972, it was a demonstration sport.
Dumb.
And then I believe it was another demonstration sport in 1988, exhibition.
Cowards.
But in 1992, it started as a full Olympic sport where you're contesting for medals, and it has continued on, and it is scheduled to happen again in the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles.
Cool. Shuttlecock. Don't clip that and then make me say it or repeat it a bunch of times. Shuttlecock. 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 Shuttlecock.
8-ball pool.
Dude, they need to add that today. I would watch professional pool. Hell yeah.
So you're saying that they did?
Sure. In the 20s or 30s, I don't know.
Unfortunately, the answer is no.
What?
However, it is there are various billiards. There's like the International Olympic Committee. There's like lots of stuff that it's like, well, we recognize these as sports, and we recognize specific organizations as like the rules keepers, even though they are not sports held at the Olympics. So billiards are one of those where it's like, we recognize that these are games and they could theoretically be integrated into the Olympics at some point, but they are not and have not. There's no plans to have any pool, including various snookers, and no billiards games.
I count that as a win. All right, what's the next one?
Cricket.
Oh, man. My gut just keeps saying yes, at some point there must have been cricket.
What year?
I don't know, the 50s?
So the answer as of now, cricket was a game that you could medal in only at the 1900 Olympics. It has not been back to the Olympics since then. However, if America survives into 2028 for the Los Angeles Olympics, the plan is to have cricket once again in 2028. 128 years later.
Those games can take days.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see some American cricket, everybody. Have I ever told you that I have a kind of like a greenway near me, and probably it was last year or the year before, I walked by, there was just a bunch of people playing cricket in fucking central Delaware.
Central Delaware does not exist. It's a myth. Like central New Jersey.
3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah. And I know this because I think I watched Jimmer Fredette let Team America down at the 2024 Olympics in France.
What year do you think, if it exists, what year do you think it was introduced?
2024.
So it does exist. It was played, and the first time it was played is in the 2020 Olympics. Asterisk, I believe the 2020 Olympics were played in 2021.
Yeah, in Tokyo. Okay, yeah.
All
right.
COVID.
So I knew it was recent because I actually pay attention to international basketball because I'm a ball knower.
And other more traditional basketball also exists, but they have also introduced 3-on-3.
Yeah, the 3-on-3 they picked retired NBA players, and I was like, why the fuck? Just pick the guys who are active, who didn't make the regular roster. Why would you put out I could complain about that.
I think 3-on-3 basketball is more fun than regular basketball. There's more, you spend more time because it's half court, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and say no. I disagree that 3-on-3 is not more fun. Put two other people on the court. Play it correctly. Cowards.
American football.
No, because I know they're adding flag football.
Okay, this is what I'm getting at. Is the flag football variant of American football will be added in 2028. Yeah. So yes, I'll count that as you got.
Yeah, no, I knew they were adding it. I knew regular to us American football has never been in it because we would have fucking crushed. But there's a lot of talks about NFL players. It's well, who's gonna be on the roster? Do they need to start practicing? Do they need to There's a whole lot of hoopla because it's are NFL teams willing to let current players go out there and get hurt?
Well, not for nothing, but I think I sincerely believe we need to transition away from our current system of football where people are regularly breaking their brains in football. And so I don't give a shit if people don't like flag football as much as tackle football, But if it means that people aren't permanently injuring their brains, then I think that's what we should do instead of what we're currently doing.
All right, well, 2 notes on that. A, they signed up for it. They know the risks.
I don't give a shit.
And B, Malcolm Gladwell famously said, he predicted that in 50 years, the world would no longer be playing tackle football or eating red meat because they were going to be so unhealthy for us that like it would just be phased out. Like enough people would just be like, actually, no. And with synthetic meat, simulated meat, and flag, I could see it, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
I also think it's, like, really problematic in that it's, like, a bunch of, like, teenagers are like, well, yeah, I want to do tackle football, and it's like, absolutely not. You may play flag football, and that is it.
I mean, there's a lot of parents who don't want their kids playing it, and I don't know if that trend continues, but...
If I had kids, I absolutely would not want them playing, like, tackle American football. Yeah. If they want to play another sport, like, listen... You do anything active, there is some risk. Like, you play basketball or soccer or whatever. There is some risk that, you break a leg, you sprain an ankle or whatever. That's not great, but, like, whatever. That's what part of living. Tackle football, you're fucking breaking your brain forever, dude. Tug of war.
No, that's some Squid Game shit.
Unfortunately.
Get the fuck out of here.
Tug of war was played every 2 years from 1900 to 1920.
That is fucking preposterous, dude. If you had said, like, ancient Greco-Roman tug of war, been like, yeah, sure, whatever, get naked, oiled up, you know.
Yes, I believe they were clothed when they were tugging
fucking
of war.
Preposterous.
Okay, 2 more. Sumo wrestling?
No. Nope.
Nope. And bowling.
I feel like they would have been crazy enough to try bowling.
Unfortunately, so... This is where it is important to understand the difference between a proper Olympic sport and a demonstration sport.
Oh my god.
There has been no bowling, like nobody has ever competed for a Olympic medal in bowling.
Dumb.
In 1988 in Seoul, there was a 10-pin demonstration game, but it was not in competition. Like it was just All right,
everyone knows what bowling is, the Olympic Committee, and I count that as a win. But that's stupid. Like they should have bowling, like and billiards. I mean, hell, they should have Street Fighter. Just put in Street Fighter.
I also think they should have sumo wrestling. Sumo wrestling's cool as shit.
I think you need enough other countries to have enough athletes. So I'm not even sure, like, what other countries would be competing in flag football. Because, like, I'm going to tell you right now, there are enough countries for basketball, but, like, baseball? Like, there's not enough. Like, England does not have a baseball team. No one knows how to play baseball there.
Japan has it. The various
South
countries
Korea,
in the Caribbean
and a lot
have
of the Caribbean and Central America and South America. But, like, the World Baseball Classic, it's, like, not that much. Same with Little League. You basically need a lot of the European countries and a lot of Asian countries and a lot of African countries. Like, I feel like that's what gets you over the hill.
So if you like what you heard, head over to videogame.town/donate. And get some more. Listen to some more podcasts. We wrapped up our creeps. If you want to know who are the creepiest creeps, check it out. Videogame.town/donate.
We're on Blue Sky. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and that's it.
That sounds right.
And the aforementioned Patreon.
Find all of that at videogame.town.
Yeah, that's where we post articles and such. And then, next week's show will be a pre-taped interview with a special mystery guest, and then I think maybe the week after will also be one of those. So be on the lookout!
Like, follow, and subscribe.
Do all that fun stuff.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.